G'day everyone, it's Justin and
Scott.
two dads again from Broome, Australia, and we're coming here today with a 2022 Jeep Gladiator Rubicon. Okay mate, I thought we'd channel our inner Russell Coy today.
Yes. I think we've got that sorted.
And try out Jeep's Gladiator Ute out here in the Aussie outback, or at least north of Sydney anyway.
Yes, absolutely.
The born in the USA Gladiator arrived in Australia in mid-2020. And it's a bit different to most of the one-ton sort of dual cab utes, which are so popular here in Australia, aren't they?
Yeah, very much a different offering, this one, yep.
The main difference is that this has a payload capacity of about 693 kilos, and its towing capacity is 21 kilos braked. So, you know what, it's probably more of an adventure lifestyle ute rather than a true workhorse.
It's not the standard one-ton ute.
Like a Ranger, Hilux, which can carry and tow a bit more.
Exactly.
Another difference is that the Gladiator only comes here in petrol form, with a naturally aspirated 3.6 litre V6, which puts out 209 kilowatts at 6,400 RPM, and 347 Newton meters of torque at 4,100 RPM, and that's coupled to an 8-speed automatic. But the advantage of the Gladiator is that I reckon if you want to do some proper off-road adventuring, then it's probably going to do it a little bit better than a standard one-ton work ute. You agree?
Absolutely. I think more than just a little bit. I think it's got some really good off-road capabilities, this car.
Anyway, the one that we're in today is the top-of-the-range Rubicon version, and it's got a list price of $82,450. And it's got that red trail-rated Jeep badge on the side, which means it's got some pretty trick off-road gear, like Jeep calls it their Rock Track on-demand active four-wheel drive system with a 4:1 low gear ratio to help it crawl up and down all over the Australian countryside.
Yes.
It's got front and rear locking differentials as well. And an off-road plus switch, which Jeep says adjusts throttle, transmission shift points and traction control to give it peak performance on sand dunes and low-speed rock crawling. It has Fox aluminium bodied off-road performance shocks as well. It's got an electronic front sway bar disconnect and 17-inch BF Goodrich 255/75 R17 all-terrain off-road tyres. Mate, it's also got 249 millimetres of ground clearance, and you can go through water crossings up to about 760 millimetres. So did you want to try that today?
No, we've done some a little bit off-roading already this morning, but no, I think we'll keep the water out of the equation for today. Yeah.
Okay. It also has those cool red heavy-duty front and rear tow hooks, which we can use when we can call Jeep Assist to pull us out there. Eh?
Yes, absolutely. We did think we were almost stuck this morning, didn't we, at one stage?
Don't tell Jeep that. No, it's all right. Anyway, mate, you've had the Gladiator for a couple of days.
Yes.
What do you think?
Yeah, firstly I've got to say, I think this is why I love cars, when someone produces a car that's so different to everything else on the market, right? This thing really stands out, and it's a different equation or proposition for people, right? You've touched on it already, right? It's not like all the other utes we have in Australia, and we've got plenty to choose from. This thing is a different package, and it's pretty exciting the way it's been packaged up, and so much of it is different, right? From the moment you see it from the outside, there's big bumper bar thing at the front and all the styling. You get inside, the dash and everything, well, it takes a bit of getting used to. It's quite different, all these auxiliary points and the front and rear differential locking and all this four-wheel drive stuff. It all looks really, really cool when you first get into it.
I'm glad you know about all that, because like for a city guy like me, I mean, it's a bit lost on me, so that's all right. So, I mean, I can tell you how it goes on the freeway and stuff like that, but
yes.
Yeah, off-roading, it's probably more your cup of tea than mine, so
yep.
It's all right. But I got to say, mate, the performance of the car I thought was pretty good, considering like it's a naturally aspirated 3.6 V6. smooth and torquey. That's what comes to mind. What do you
I think we both agreed. It's just got the right amount of power, hasn't it? Like, so we just went up some big hills here, and it can accelerate up the hills really well. Around the city, it just didn't feel underpowered. Just felt like they had the right amount of power. So it's a pretty impressive proposition in that sense.
Yeah, the 8-speed auto, I found it shifted smoothly around town, but I think, I don't know, like, is it more at home in the bush, that sort of transmission? I don't know. Like,
I think it feels better out here. I'm enjoying
on
it
the open
more.
road.
So yes, absolutely, yeah. Yep.
On the freeway, it actually surprised me a little bit because, you do get a lot of road noise because it's running those all-terrain tyres. But like I said, the 8-speed auto actually, keeps it pretty low on the rev rate. So that side of things was pretty good.
Yeah.
But I've got to say, the ride, it's a body-on-frame chassis, so it doesn't drive like a car. Or like your family SUV does it. It drives more like a truck. This thing.
It does, yes.
Yeah, but
so
it does feel
what I found
tough.
is just going around the streets, and even this sort of lower speed stuff at 80 kilometres an hour, it does wander around the road a little bit. It's a little bit difficult to keep in the lane. Yeah,
it's to do with the steering, I reckon. Like, did you find it rolls a lot in cornering?
I did, yeah. Yes.
I found the steering has a lot of play in the to keep it at the straight ahead. So you do need to concentrate to keep it in your lane.
Yeah, it's not set and forget, just point and go like a lot of cars that almost you don't even think about driving. This, you actually are driving the thing all the time.
Yeah, and to be honest, that can get a little bit tiring sometimes, I think. So. But braking, I thought, it's got a pretty soft pedal, and combined with those all-terrain tyres, you've sort of got to plan your braking, I think. So just get on the brakes a bit earlier.
Yes.
You agree?
Yep, I do agree, yes.
Yeah. The car has a combined fuel consumption figure of 12.4 litres per 100 k's. I don't know, around town it was getting in the 15s, but on the open road sort of thing, on the freeway, it actually got down, actually.
Okay, that's good. So that's probably a reasonably accurate number, combined usage,
Yeah, but if you're just driving it around town, you're going to find that figure's going to go higher. And it has got a 83 litre fuel tank. That's a big tank, isn't it, to fill up.
Great.
It's going to cost you a bit,
but
you only need normal unleaded to fill it up. So, all right, mate. Let's have a quick chat about family friendliness, practicality, safety of the car. What do you think of the driving vision?
It's a little different, so that's not a great description. But there are these bigger pillars around because you've got this sort of roll cage within the car. So I think that does actually make it a little bit difficult. The rear vision mirror, is actually bigger than the window behind it, so you sort of see around the outside. So it is a bit of a thin window at the back to look out as well. So it's probably more challenging than some cars, but that's probably due to this pretty unique shape, right? So,
yeah, I found you do sit really high in one of these, don't you? So you can chat to bus drivers at the lights.
Yeah, it feels like you're almost at their level.
But one major thing that I found that made it a bit uncomfortable for me, there's no left dead pedal, is there? So it makes it, especially on a longer trip, a bit uncomfortable for your left foot.
I think if you're going to do a lot of kilometres, you need to sit in this car before even considering buying it, just to make sure that you can feel comfortable in it. My leg sort of is pointed back in towards under the brake, so not a great driving position.
And the other thing I found too, I mean, it's a pretty long car. I think it's 5.6 metres long, and because it's got a tray on the back, I mean, it has got a rear camera, and it has got rear parking sensors. You don't get fronts on the Rubicon with the I think it's got it's like an option package with the steel
big
front bumper bar.
Yes,
but it is a little tricky to know where the bumper ends if you're just looking out the back window, because you can't see it. So you've got to really rely on
I'll say I did the actual. I took it to work a few days, parked it in a car park, and almost 6 metres long. I wasn't sure if it was going to fit, but it wasn't so bad. And it was it's quite a thin car too. Actually, I think that's the other thing to point out. It fitted inside the car park really easily. I thought I'd be halfway into the other guy's car park, right? But I wasn't. It was fitted in easily, and it's just really the length you have to consider, I think, if you need to park it somewhere more inner city or shopping centres, etc.
The other thing, I mean, you just mentioned it. The width of the car it's from a cabin standpoint, it is a bit narrow, isn't it? But the actual car itself, because you've got those big flares on the front and stuff like that,
yes,
you have to be conscious of that, don't you?
Yes, so, you do. Absolutely. Yep, absolutely.
Hey, what do you think of the seat comfort?
I think it's fairly basic. It's fairly square. It's not uncomfortable, but it doesn't wrap around you. I mean, I did some reasonably, longish trips in this in terms of, 3/4 an hour or something. It wasn't hurting my back or anything, but it probably could be a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah, it has got heated seats and a heated steering wheel, but I've got to say too, it is fairly flat, and coupled with the fact that you don't get a dead pedal, it gives you a little bit of numb bump sometimes, I think. So, that's just me. So anyway, what did you think about the interior styling, ergonomics?
Oh, full marks. I think it's just absolutely fantastic, right? Like, it is different to the other cars where things are. So, like the windows, for instance, because we've got these doors that come off.
Yeah.
I think they've reduced the number of buttons and electronics that lead to there. So, it's things like to up and put down the windows, up the windows. Yeah, absolutely. That's all in the middle. So you sort of keep going to the right for a bit until you remember that it's in the middle. But that's okay. Yeah.
The other interesting thing about this car too, it's got an optional package on it which has these auxiliary buttons, which I think if you're doing your off-roading and all that, and you want to plug in some extra electrical things like extra lights or a camera or something like that.
Yeah, fridge out the back, those sorts of things.
It's built in, so you can actually wire it into the car.
Terrific, and operate it from here. It's fantastic. Yep.
Yeah, which is good. You mentioned it too, the doors and the roof comes off on this thing as well, so it's very much an adventuring, adventuring car, isn't it? So yeah. The other thing that it's got too, mate, did you notice that the carpets, did you read about that? The carpets can be removed and the floor's actually got bungs in it, so if you actually take it through water and you get water in the cabin, you can drain it out.
You can drain it out, absolutely. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, so if you really want to do some off-roading, pretty good.
Yeah, it can handle it.
The infotainment system, mate, I thought it's pretty good. It's an 8.4-inch touchscreen, which has got DAB and built-in navigation. The navigation and that was pretty easy to use.
Yes.
It's pretty clear, pretty logical, but the good thing about it too, like the rear vision camera is very clear in this car, isn't it?
Yeah. And you want it to be, right, when you're reversing into those tight parks in such a big car.
Yeah.
But I thought it was great, and it's integrated into the dash as well, right? It's not an afterthought like some of the cars we see. It just really feels like it should be there. Yeah,
it's got Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, but you do have to plug it in. It's one of those cars.
Yes. I think you did notice that there was no USB for the kids in the back.
Yeah, I was going to say that, the family friendliness in the back. I mean, it has got vent in the back, but the only time you can actually plug in a USB for the kids is to plug it into the center console here. So, that's a bit of an afterthought.
Nice to have an extra one there. Yep.
Yeah. It's got a 9-speaker Alpine premium sound system, which I think is pretty good. It sounds okay.
Yep.
But your volume and your, change the station controls, they're hidden away, aren't they? They're behind the steering wheel.
Yeah, they're behind. Yeah. I like the use of them though, right?
Yeah.
You've got your full hands on the steering wheel.
Yeah.
You're not pressing any buttons.
But if you didn't know,
it might take a little while to find them.
You'd be hunting around saying, "Oh, I changed this."
That's so true.
Yeah. All right, mate, you sat in the back. What did you think?
Yes, I found there was quite a bit of room, more than enough headroom and leg room. So it is really sort of the family-friendly car for older kids that you could put in the back there easily.
The only thing I found, I suppose, is that because it's a little bit narrower than some of the other bigger utes and things, that 3 across might be a bit tight.
Might be a bit tight, yes. Yeah.
Boot size, huge.
Nice big tray. Just a couple of comments on the tray. It's got some really adjustable hooks, so that they can slide across, so you can have them where you need them. All those hooks are on the inside of the cabin, so there's nothing to sort of attach on the outside. So it just depends maybe what you're going to be using the ute for at the back. Just keep in mind that all the attachments are on the inside, so that may or may not suit.
They have put that, like the tray lining in the back too, haven't they? So you're not going to damage the tray. Hopefully,
it's going to be easy to keep it in good condition and clean it out when it gets muddy and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, nice.
Another interesting thing I found in the back though, mate, the seats split 60-40, and you're probably thinking, why would they do that? You can't go in the back, but underneath the seats there are compartments that you can put wet stuff if you wanted to, put it out of the way. So that's pretty good.
Okay, so that's sort of some practicality there.
Mate, just in terms of safety, probably not great. ANCAP give it a 3 out of 5 star rating for this car. It's only got 4 airbags. It's 2 front and 2 in the side seats here. It's got autonomous emergency braking, but I read that it's not actually designed for pedestrians and cyclists and things. It's really just designed to stop you from a car sort of thing. It has got blind spot monitoring as well. It's got rear cross traffic detection, but not braking in the back. There's no lane keep assist. It's got adaptive cruise with stop, but an interesting thing I found about that today, it's sort of like a 2-stage thing to get adaptive cruise to work on it. It's got a normal sort of group of buttons to get your cruise control working.
Yes.
But if you want adaptive cruise, you've got to go into an additional set of button menus to get adaptive cruise to work. But in all honesty, it worked really well on the freeway, so that was fine. It's got rear parking sensors with the camera. The model below this, the Night Eagle, has front parking sensors too, because it's a different front bumper.
Yes.
Value for money, mate. In terms of value for money, it's got a list price of $82,450. Okay, you might think that's pretty pricey. Do you think it's pretty pricey?
It is. Yes. I mean, this is, as you said, it's a lifestyle. Choice, this car, and it's something very different that's going to stand out to everyone else. I know a mate of mine, Sibin, bought this with very much that view. I think is he wanted something really special that he could go camping with the family. It just suited perfectly what he was after, to use it every day. He lives out on the edge of Sydney, so he doesn't have to park in all those tight car parks in the city, so he didn't have that practicality to think about. So I think if you want something special, something that's really going to stand out from the crowd and have a bit of fun about it too, being able to take the roof and the doors off, that comes at a bit of a cost, right? That's not your everyday bulk manufactured car. So I think that's probably where the justification is for the money. But if you're just wanting a workhorse for work or whatever, then probably a bit more value for money in the standard utes.
It comes with a 5-year 100,000k warranty on the car. You get lifetime roadside assistance when you service it through Jeep dealers as well, which is pretty good. They also give it a 5-year capped price servicing program where you service it every year or 12,000 Ks. So that's interesting. But it is $399 a service for the first 5 scheduled services. So you're ending up paying about $1,995 for 5 years or 60,000 Ks. So that's not bad.
Not bad. I mean, it's the fully fledged 4-wheel drive, right? So that comes with a bit more servicing things that has to be considered. So you would expect that.
Yeah. All right, mate. X Factor. Now, is this the kind of car that, mate, when you take it to the local pub in town, you're going to look back at it when you park it? What do you think?
Oh, without doubt, especially in this bright red, right? It's probably the colour of choice. I looked at all the other colours. I think this one really stands out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you arrived this morning and, oh my goodness, didn't you stand out? So you were very easy to see. I think it's got X Factor in spades. Every corner, front right to back left has got really funky features on this car. So it's all kudos to Jeep for producing such a unique and individual sort of car.
Yeah, it looks tough, doesn't it, this thing? And the other little interesting thing I found about this car was that Jeep's put a lot of little Easter eggs in this car. Like when you look around it, there's little tiny Jeeps everywhere on the thing. So
and I think even when you start the car on the dash, there's a little LED or screen in there. It says Jeep since 1941. And then that disappears and becomes the 4-wheel drive system. So it's really cool. Lots of little nest eggs.
And I've noticed, like when you drive one of these around, I've had a lot of other Gladiator owners like wave at you. So, so it's one of those cars that people wave. So that's great. So Anyway, just want to put a big thanks out to our friends at Jeep Australia for the loan of the Gladiator. Thank you very much for letting us channel our inner Russell Coit, all Aussie Adventures today, so that's really good. And I think this is pretty cool, this thing, isn't it?
Absolutely, very cool.
Pretty cool. So if you want something that's actually, that stands out, that, like you can take it off-road genuinely, and, you can have some fun with it, why not? Great. Also, just want to say thanks to everybody for all the likes, the subscriptions, the shares. Please continue to do so. I think, the more that we get, the more content we're going to be able to bring you, which is great. And we'll check you out later. We'll see you later.
Thanks, everyone. See you later.